I make the best of a bad situation, you know? I take and I make something out of nothing.
Right.
If you say, Anthony, I need you to jerk off to Black Ops, I'm gonna do it.
You are like a modern day Gandhi.
It's all Black. All anybody's talking about is Black Ops. But what I thought was more interesting was was something that confused you too, which was this God of War Ascension multiplayer.
Because no one asked for it.
Like, at no point did I play God of War and I was like, man, I sure wish I had an equally angry buddy here with me.
I could see God of War working in a co-op context, but that is such a stretch. It is such a stretch, and it seems like they're doing some interesting things with it because it looks kind of like super smashy, and it looks almost a tiny bit MOBA-y, but it's like, dude, it's God of War.
I do think they're taking an interesting approach because, like, the way Mass Effect did it was really just like they place you in one of their maps and you fight bad guys. That's really it. But with God of War, you know, you fight another team and then you fight a boss. So they've kind of changed it up a little bit, which I admire.
I think it could work.
Who asked for it?
Nobody asked for it, but I think it's going to be.
I bet one dude did.
More challenging. I wonder if the reward for creating it will be bigger than the work that probably had to go into it. Because when you think about God of War, all I think about is like dramatic camera angles and quick time events and like mini cinematics, and it's like, how do you make that work with 4 people at once?
Yeah. They definitely had to change, I'm assuming, a lot of the game's core mechanics for multiplayer.
Well, that's the thing though, is it's like, it's not a multiplayer game.
It's not a multiplayer game.
It doesn't make any damn sense.
But it is a multiplayer game now.
We said the same thing about Mass Effect 3, and that multiplayer was surprisingly good, but it also wasn't competitive.
It was good, but do you know anybody who's still playing Mass Effect 3?
I know one guy. I know one friend. Everybody knows one guy who's like super into Mass Effect multiplayer. And this is what's interesting, is like all of these games, they're adding multiplayer, I think, is just like a value add. And there's always somebody who's really into it, but you have to wonder if it's paying off as much as they want. I think it's more for a bullet point on the back of a box than anything else.
I mean, I hear a lot of people complain these days about spending $60 on a single player only campaign that lasts maybe 6 to 8 hours. And I can see from a developer standpoint why they'd want to have that extra attractant.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, you think about like a 12-year-old kid, and he gets $100 for his birthday, and he goes out and he buys Uncharted 3, and that's his game for 6 months. He's got his birthday, he's got Christmas, and he's like, oh good, multiplayer, right? Nobody else bought Uncharted for multiplayer, and Uncharted has very good multiplayer. It has some interesting things going on. It's fun.
In spite of the fact that it doesn't need multiplayer.
And that's the thing, it's like you're playing it, but you're like, you feel weird playing it multiplayer. You feel weird when Nathan Drake turns into a cloud of spiders. Like, that's not a thing. And there's this one kid, and he's online with it, and he's like, great, now I'm playing multiplayer, but nobody sticks around in these games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The kid's got somebody to play with for 3 days, 3 weeks.
We're at a point where I think that multiplayer and single player are 2 different products. And you're seeing this very much with, the success of like MOBAs and free-to-play shooters and stuff like that. And these are games that out the gate, they know that they're not going to try and do a story. They're not going to try and be like, oh, we're going to build a campaign. That's a lot of time and a lot of money, and that's something you have to balance. And when that money could be spent towards balancing the multiplayer.
That's one of those things that I was surprised with when I was playing Awesome Knots, is you look at Awesome Knots, and they've done all these like really funny, like cool cinematic trailers and like 80s Saturday morning cartoon stuff, and they put a lot of time into this character design, and then if you play Awesome Knots, you get one cut scene in the beginning that's really more a tutorial than anything else, and then the only single player you get are practice matches. Which was weird, because it surprised me, but at the same time, should I really have been surprised? It's a MOBA.
Yeah.
Should I have expected more?
Well, I don't know. I
mean, the whole single-player, multiplayer argument, I see a lot of people saying, or rather putting forth the argument that if it's there and you don't like it, just ignore it.
Right.
Which is a totally valid argument, I think. And then a lot of people's response to that is, like, if it's there, did that take time out of the development of the single-player story? Did that affect the campaign at all? Did they maybe put less effort into that to focus more on multiplayer? And I tried to think of an instance of a game that introduced multiplayer after not having had it for a while, and I couldn't think of any where I felt like it took away from the single-player story at all.
the product that is a multiplayer game and the product that is a single player game are entirely different products. And when they're packaged in one box and you're paying $60 regardless, there's going to be someone who's not happy. Unless there's something really well-rounded that is completely polished. But no matter what the thing, there's somebody goes in there and they want one or the other. I'm pretty much never personally interested in online multiplayer.
And I think the feeling forced to package two together is kind of like a recent thing. Because if you think about it, like the original Mario Kart was always split screen. There was never a full screen race on Mario Kart. If you played single player, that top half was just a map. Do you remember? You could never play full screen. Mario Kart was made to be multiplayer. They threw in a single player, but nobody played it that way.
I propose a system where developers only publish physical copies of single player games and then make the multiplayer a downloadable add-on thing.
Or vice versa, you know?
Well, not vice versa, because online multiplayers.
What if people want to play? What if people want to play like a League of Legends campaign that has a story to it that tells you the world of like League of Legends? What if people wanted that? I don't know if people want that.
What if people wanted that? Like,
what if people want to know
kind of world would we be living in?
What's going on in Blacklight Retribution? What's it all about? You know, what if they want to actually have a story told to them, set in that world to sort of supplement the multiplayer? I mean,
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I think the competitive shooting crowd that's playing Blacklight is just like, cool, Blacklight.
Well, there's no demand for that, I guess.
You know,
I just think it's funny
because it comes back to that. It comes back to that Modern Warfare thing, where if you diss on the story of Modern Warfare, all anybody says to you is like, "Who cares? It's not about the campaign."
But there's a lot of people who love that story.
Yeah.
What I think is funny is back in the '80s, they had laser tag, and they had a TV show based on laser tag. That had people time traveling with laser guns because they went to Laser Academy, and there were some dinosaurs, probably.
I want to go to Laser Academy.
Me too.
I don't think you'd get accepted to Laser Academy.
Fuck you.
I'm just saying, it's not like a local community college. You have to be very good with lasers.
I have credentials, goddammit. I know 2 maths.